Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast, where we explore user experience, digital innovation, and ideas for a better tomorrow. I'm Sebastian Gier, your host, and in each episode we learn from leaders and experts about their perspectives on the future of digital innovation. Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're joined by Jennifer Kaiser-Steiner, head of the Learning and Exchange Center at one of Europe's most important entrepreneurship centers in Europe. We're diving into the world of startup ecosystems, exploring the key factors that make them thrive and how local partnerships, government initiatives, and strategic projects are helping to shape the future of entrepreneurship in Germany and beyond. Jennifer also shares her insights on how innovative approaches to networking and funding are helping startups scale, and why building a diverse user-centered team is crucial for success. Let's jump in.
Jennifer, I think what would be great for the start if you could outline a little bit also the context for the audience, right? So they understand better your journey. You have different capacities you're acting in, both at UnternehmerTUM, but also beyond that. And I think that would be great for the audience to get an idea.
Thanks, Sebastian, for having me. A bit about myself. I studied business administration, and after that I worked 4 years for a member of the German parliament. And during that time, I think I gained a really good understanding about the political landscape in Germany. And I'm still politically active. I'm the leader of the Liberal Party here in Munich. But now I'm working at UnternehmerTUM for 2 years now and focusing on strategic projects with government, with international partners. And since 1st of September, I got promoted as head of Learning and Exchange Center, helping startup factories become very professional.
I think that would be great to talk about in that project. And I think the things you're doing there about like taking the success of UnternehmerTUM and sort of the ingredients of it and seeing how this could be applied in more places. But maybe you can share in your own words a little bit about it. And then also how the sort of local players are really enabling also startup success from your experience.
So last year, the German government published a very, very huge startup strategy. And one of the goals is replicate the success of UnternehmerTUM in other regions. And currently 15 locations in Germany are part of the concept phase. It's a 9-month phase where universities build a startup factory. And after that, 5 to 10 startup factories will receive funding from the German government for 5 years. A holistic approach, like what UnternehmerTUM is doing, working together with universities, but also with corporates, and not only building startup factories, but whole startup ecosystems. And with the Learning and Exchange Center, we try to help the startup factories become very professional. We will have like peer-to-peer exchange, playbooks on how to build a startup factory, but also tracking KPIs to see how we can optimize the startup factories.
And then I guess as far as like the kind of local players, I guess they have all their different focus areas. So what is your experience as far as like the importance of these local players to enable startup success versus maybe, you have, of course, like a lot of global programs as well, like global accelerators, etc. That's another approach towards startup enabling. But the local players also play an important role.
And I think also if you look at UnternehmerTUM, one of the reasons UnternehmerTUM is so successful, and since a few months we are also the leading startup hub in Europe regarding Financial Times. So that was really a nice award for us. And I think, UnternehmerTUM is so successful because we have also the local players here. So we have the top tier university, TUM, that provides us with really great talent and also great research. You, of course, need when you want to build spin-offs, but you also have these big corporations like BMW, SAP here in Munich. And I think that's one of the reasons why UnternehmerTUM is so successful, really the local ecosystem.
Is that what sort of how you also approach that project as far as like the other locations to really, when you say that's one of the key ingredients, right? About like why UnternehmerTUM is so successful. Is that how you approach then also this project? So is that a key component or what others you see as enablers?
Yes, a really big one. So building this network, I would say, is one big component, like having the great talents, universities, corporates, investors, of course. then you also need the program and the content, having like education formats for entrepreneurship, incubation programs, but also events, for example, the DDX Congress here in Munich. I mean, things like that help really with building great content. Then I would say you also need the infrastructure. Here in Munich, we have the Munich CoLab. It's a co-working space where startups come together with corporates, and that's a thing you need. And then I think overall you also need like the brand and the PR. So show your success stories. I think that's a thing that Silicon Valley is doing really great, showing the success stories, talking about what's so great in your ecosystem. And I think that's also a thing you really need to do.
I guess talking about the projects is probably an important component also, right? Yeah. I mean, not just the doing, because otherwise people don't notice the impact that you're doing. And yeah, I think, but I guess there are also challenges around that, because I guess that it's like with any innovation project that you start, it always challenges what is there also at the moment, right? If you do an innovation project in a company, you're trying to question what is there at the moment, you're trying to question status quo. I guess similar with these, if you start to roll up the way how to set up a startup ecosystem to other places in Germany, I guess the same challenges appear, right? Yeah. How do you navigate with any kind of learnings as far as like how to navigate with so many stakeholders around that?
Yeah, that's really a big challenge we see right now. But I think the good thing here at this Lighthouse competition from the federal government is that so many stakeholders are coming together. So they don't want to build something quite new, but they want to build on something that's already existing. And I think that's the smart thing to do, not every time trying to build something completely new, but trying to bring the things together you already have. Like, for example, Stuttgart is one of the startup factories in the concept phase, and they already have a big startup factory, and now they are working together also with Karlsruhe. KET is a very important tech university, and now they're working together building these bigger startup factory, and that's the thing that's really good right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me of some of my projects at BMW on innovation projects, and oftentimes in the beginning, especially if you're trying to start a newer, bigger project, to invite everyone that has been doing similar project already and make sure they have some skin in the new project as well. Yeah. Or you create stage for that, right? So you make sure they feel heard, but actually also heard, and you build on that. I mean, this kind of similar topics that are present in a company as an innovation project, I think also apply if you work on a kind of country scale, right? I mean, kind of creating also stage for that, as far as like what has already been done, right?
Yeah, I think that's important to do it this way, and it's not always easy, but to bring together all these stakeholders. But yeah, I think it's the right way to do.
Mm-hmm. And just looking into the startup ecosystem also in Germany, but also maybe Europe. What do you think about like the current status quo as far as the ecosystem, and what also, because I know you work a lot on the enablement. I mean, like, in all of your capacities, I would say like you're an enabler, right? As far as like what kind of infrastructure is there also for other players to play in, right? Mm-hmm. And start ventures or succeed or not succeed. But I guess, what is your current feeling about the status quo, and what needs to be further enabled for startups to be successful in the current environment?
So yeah, if you look what's already been built in Germany, but also in Europe. I mean, there are some really great entrepreneurship centers. Last year, we started a new initiative called Rise Europe here at UnternehmerTUM, and we are bringing together all these big entrepreneurship centers in Europe. So, for example, Oxford, Imperial College, KTH from Sweden, Aalto from Finland, Paris, of course, all these really big entrepreneurship center. And I think, they already are doing a really great job enabling all these talents. And if you look at UnternehmerTUM, for example, we try to help the founders the whole way of the founding journey. So, for example, we have our education formats. And last year, for example, we educated 10,000 students in entrepreneurship. So that's quite a few. And then we have, of course, our startup programs. Last year, we supported over 700 startup teams in our pre-incubation program. So we really try to help the founder, the whole startup journey. And yeah, I think that's what's already done the last years. And of course, we still want to grow and want to help more startups to have even more startups here in Germany and in Europe.
If you would be able to, let's say, decide on something that, or would be looking into how startups are done in Europe and maybe looking a little bit beyond that, is there something you would like to change as far as like how Europe is approaching it, or anything that kind of stands out to you that you think is one of the hindering factors for Germany or maybe Europe?
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few hindering factors, and we talk to startups like every day and what's going on right now. And I would say the number one is really the lack of accessible private funding, especially compared to the US. And yeah, there's a few things also that the government could do. I mean, for example, what France is doing right now with TBD, trying to incentivize insurance companies to invest more money into VC. And also the German government wants to do this now with the WIN initiative. And yeah, hopefully it will work. And there's more money in the system, because the private money here in Germany, but also in whole Europe, is missing. And of course, other thing is also the shared base pension you have in US or in Canada. And we don't have that here in Germany, and that could also change, hopefully, the mindset of the people if they are also have a share of startups or the private person. Then it maybe also change your mindset and you become more open to startups.
And I guess like one also from a kind of personal experience perspective, I think like there's the funding component, but I also think there's definitely, I think in Germany specifically, a bureaucratic component. I think if I want to start a company in the US, it takes me just one meeting. I just need to go somewhere, fill a paper, have a company. It's a more complex effort in Germany. That has pros and cons, obviously. But that's, from my personal experience, I feel like one of the things that definitely, from a founder experience, definitely stands out. You know, the amount of bureaucracy that are kind of connected to funding a company, the taxation also, as far as like how you already very early on have to report on certain things, even though when you're just, starting out, right? And I think that can be, I think for a lot of startups also like additional workload that stands in the way to focus on product and innovation. So there would at least, it was just adding one more thing to what you already said, as far as just like from personal experience. But of course, there are many other components. I think the ecosystem is definitely something that is actually, it's good. And I think the UnternehmerTUM is like helping so much on that, like on also other fronts by connecting companies with startups, etc. I think one of the things that is like very strong also in Munich, but also beyond that.
And of course, regulatory is always a problem we see here. For example, Ursula von der Leyen had an idea this year to building something she calls a 28 regime, and it would be the opportunity for startups to found their company in this 28 regime, and then they could work and in every European country. So, I mean, it's just an idea right now, but I think it would also help that you don't have to open your company in Germany, then in France, and it's very difficult right now to scale your company. So hopefully it will work, and they will work on it, this legislation.
Yeah, I think definitely that's a good direction, right? I mean, like how to simplify some of these processes.
Yeah.
I mean, with DDX, I think one component, there's of course the component of startups, innovation, but then there's also the component of packaging and translating abstract into concrete as far as design and user experience. One of the superpowers I always experienced also during my time was the kind of importance of taking the abstract to the concrete. And that always doesn't have to be like right from the beginning, but ability to prototype quickly, etc. But you were also present at the DDX event, and I know that the UnternehmerTUM is also very active in a lot of topics around user experience. The DPS is one of the programs there as interaction design as part of the innovation teams, right? But any kind of experience from or insight from what you saw as far as startups and the relevance for them to be able to take a technical innovation and package it, any kind of observations you made in the UnternehmerTUM landscape, or generally on the importance of that topic from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally important to bring together a diverse team to work on a problem, on a startup. And I think bringing someone in the team that has UX experience is really important. That's why we have in one of our pre-incubation programs, we have a co-founder matching where, for example, techie is matched with a UX person, and it really helps already in the beginning to have someone with UX expert, because then, you see that it's more user-centered and more solution-driven. And that's one thing we do here at UnternehmerTUM. And I mean, also events like the DDX is helping to mix the different kind of people together, building a startup. And by the way, I always thought it would be really great to combine someone with expertise and a politician, because sometimes if you look into the laws and also the initiatives, it really could help to be more, I don't know, user-centered, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I guess there's actually a law, I think, that was around, I think it's called simple language, where I don't know about the status of this, but I hear it more often. I think it comes into play actually already, where you need to, because, some official legislative text can be sometimes really hard to understand. And I think there is, as far as accessibility, it's under the umbrella of the term accessibility. So how easy it is to consume an information. Right? And because obviously this, on the just capabilities of humans, so some people are disabled, they just can't access certain things or do certain things. But I think it is also now understood that there are so more granular forms of not being excessive to accessing information or utilizing certain things, and so the easy language, I think, is one of these things that came into play, where you need to write things simple, essentially, because otherwise you sign contracts that you don't really understand, or you create a gap between what some people may discuss and what you want to experience afterwards.
I mean, even for us, sometimes it's hard to do our tax and doing all these regulatory things. So that's really, really smart.
And I think like what I kind of learned at also in the us as far as like the interlinkage of startups and design is really the ability to prototype things quickly without really completely investing into technology already, right? Just to get feedback. I think that's one of the big topics. Being able to take an abstract discussion that is happening into a picture, a video, a prototype, something people can put their hands on or people can look at. It can be as easy as a simple drawing on a whiteboard that people look at and understand, where now the abstract thoughts of a group of people are getting concrete with a visualization of that thought process, right? And that doesn't even have to be like right from the get-go, but it moves the discussion one step further, because now everyone can look at this and get like, I didn't mean it this way, and I didn't mean it this way, but this is a great idea. And so you bring people together, I think. I always look into this as a sort of acceleration process, right? Where you almost speed up the whole process of innovating on ideas, but the ability to visualize and test things quickly, or even a way of people communicating faster with each other. Because otherwise you work on something for a long time and then it takes a long time until everyone can again feedback on something.
So it would be really helpful.
Right, to get feedback and test things quickly. No, thank you so much. I think this was great. I want to be conscious of your time also. And but thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you so much for listening. And please let me know what you learned. And let's stay in touch for future episodes and conversations. Feel also free to reach out to me personally anytime. Always happy to hear any feedback. And if you'd like to have more information about DDX, you can get them on ddxconference.com. With that said, I wish you a great day and see you next time.